Morning option addicts. It is Wednesday, February 7th. Happy Wednesday to you all. I want to take a few moments here and go over some of the price patterns that we were following up with on as of Monday. We submitted the watch list, had a few patterns in there. I wanted to follow up on some of those, especially some of the ones that have given recent trading signals, and talk about some of the analysis we can take away from that. As you can see, I'm starting off on a chart today on United States Steel Corporation, symbol X. Of course, it's a great place to start. We took this trade as it broke out of that resistance at about $78 per share. Right now, the stock is trading up in the just under $88 range. I mean, it's been a fantastic winner. Hopefully, you've been able to really let your profits run on this one. As far as what to do at this point, of course, we're not going to leave our stops all the way back there at old resistance / new support. You might want to tighten up and maybe use the current ATR as an example of where to set your trailing stops, or use confirmed candle patterns. If you see some kind of a shooting star, hanging man, evening star, any kind of a bearish candle formation that's confirmed, this might be a great reason to take profits in such a spectacular trade. A couple others that we looked at from this week. We're going to start off with USANA, which had a recent earnings announcement. And if we look at this one, I'm going to zoom into a 3-month chart here. But clearly an ascending triangle, ramped up. We're looking for a move just about 56 or so, and earnings, of course, being positive. And you can see that, I think some of the word must have leaked, because a couple days prior to earnings, the stock was really starting to catch up. Volume really coming into play here. Explosive move today. The stock's up almost 10%. So, great move on that one. A couple others. HealthNet, which was ticker symbol HNT. Not until just a couple days ago, we'll highlight it right here, was the day we finally confirmed this pattern. We broke out, average volume, which is what I look for, average volume or better. And, it's really been running ever since then. What about a target price on a stock like this? Well, our triangle here, the ascending triangle, measures from a bottom of about 46.50 up to about 49. So we weren't talking a super huge movement, but about a 2.5 to 3 point move. If we forward project that from where we sit today, we'd be looking at a move to about 52, hopefully right around that area. Okay, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But 52 is what I'm hoping I get out of HealthNet. ATHR was another one. Had a breakout, pulled back a little bit yesterday. You can see intraday stock dropped back down to that old resistance, stopping there, turning up as new support. Today we're getting a nice continuation move out of it. This one, though, I have to zoom out to take a look at this one, because as far as a measuring component, this is a 4-point move we'd be expecting out of the stock. And being that it's a $20 stock, 20% movement or more, those tend to make me nervous, because those, of course, come at a lower probability. But based on the pattern, this would suggest a target price of $29 per share. So keep your fingers crossed. Make sure you got some good exits planned on this one. I think, again, ATR is probably going to be a great way to set a trailing stop. Zimmer Holdings was one we also looked at. Looked at a flag pattern, and over the last couple days we started to travel outside of that flag. Today we're getting some really nice movement. Like to see that. Volume is doing okay as of so far. This one we're also expecting kind of a dynamic movement. As you can see, bottom of our flag starts right here at about $79 per share. We pop all the way up to about 85 before we retrace a little bit. So that means we've got a $6 movement from the point of the breakout, which happened to be $83 per share. So we're looking at a move to about 89 is where you want to set your target price on this one. They're likely to take probably a couple weeks to get there. What else do I have on that list? Interestingly enough, I want to look at IIG, because this was something we talked about on the market cast last night. Stock had a unbelievable earnings report that came out. And we mentioned that this stock, 50% of the float is shorted. I mean, there's a lot of short sellers in this particular stock. I'm going to the 5-day chart. I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit. And on an intraday basis, you can see here the gap from about 22.5 all the way up to about 23.5, and it ran a little bit. So what we said was watch about after the first hour of trading or so, and if it holds this gap at 23.50, this is where you probably want to take a trade, because at that point, when you got a lot of outstanding short interest in the stock and the price really starts to rally, it's going to cause a lot of buying, a lot of shorts willing to cover their shares. Of course, that didn't happen within about the first 20 minutes or so. It filled the gap completely, and of course has given up quite a bit since then. So the shorts continue to short. Good for them. couple others I want to add onto the watch list, things that you might want to take a look at. One was WLP, WellPoint. A couple days ago, the stock broke through some resistance right at about $80 per share. Now, as you look at the 1-year chart, I mean, to me, it really didn't do all that much for me when I initially looked at this trade. But then I happened to go out to a 5-year. And as you look at the 5-year chart, notice we use some weekly price bars here, and we've got a monster ascending triangle that happens to be about 10 points wide. Now, of course, this took almost a year to form. So for those of you investors out there that partake of the weekly watch list, WellPoint, a great long-term trade. We broke through resistance. Be looking for a continuation at least to $90 per share to happen over the course of probably the next 10 months or so. Not an extremely volatile stock. I mean, it could make it there quicker, but looking at the average movement of the stock, I wouldn't expect it to move too fast. But definitely a great confirmation, a great trade. If it gives up this $80 per share mark here and if it closes below that, I think that's a great way to set a stop and give yourself a lot of low risk for great reward. We're talking 10 to 1. A lot of individuals talking about potash lately. And as we zoom in onto this one, I think what's nice about this is potash recently came back down and retested a support here, 150, bounced up today. Of course, it's been a pretty hot stock. It's been following this also, not only these horizontal trend lines, but you can see an ascending trend line here as well. Intraday fell down to that. We're up about $3 from that. So, a great entry point on this one as well. Look for the stock to test highs of 160 and hopefully continue with a higher high. Also on the list I wanted to add is British Airways. And what I see here, basically kind of a choppy stock. Good resistance up here at about 109, 110. Today we blew through that, up about 4% on the day. Huge volume, and it's still relatively early. The stock had a huge volume breakout on the day. Looks like a great breakout entry on a relatively strong moving stock. If you look at the trend, you probably ought to zoom out from a 3-month chart to something like a 6-month or maybe even longer. I mean, the trend is definitely very, very persistent here. Stock's back underway again. I think it's a great hot opportunity for a great moving stock. Well, hopefully I was able to enlighten you a little bit with just a few of the trades we talked about earlier in the week. Hopefully these have proven to be some good entry points for you guys. You guys are being profitable and being efficient in your trading. I'll get this video uploaded as soon as possible. You can catch it at YouTube, or you can also catch it on the trading blog. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me, and hopefully we'll see a few of you on Master Talk tonight. Take care. Bye-bye.